All right, so welcome everyone to the Improving Bid Management and Project Collaboration with Sage Bid Management and Sage Construction Project Center. My name is Vincent Pate, and I'm the sales engineer here at Sage Construction and Real Estate. And today we're going to talk about the two new products that we have that interface with both our Sage 100 Contractor and our Sage 300 Construction and Real Estate on the pre-bid and post-bid side of project management. Our agenda today is we will go through a couple slideshows talking about what their new offerings are, why we brought them in, and some of the major benefits they'll give you. Then we'll go into a demo, and I'll kind of go through each of the different pieces and touch on a very high level of what they are and how they can help you out. Afterwards, we'll get into some Q&A so that you can ask any questions that arose as we go through this and go from there. As we go as well, I do have a chat and a Q&A section up in the WebEx. Feel free to throw questions out there as we do it. I'll try to answer them as they come across, or we'll read them all at the end when we get to that point. So what are our two new offerings? We have a new offering on the pre-construction side in the Sage Bid Management, which is going to allow you to access in the cloud all of your bid information so that you can track who are you bidding out to, what are their responses, whether you received a bid, and then, of course, turn them into a project member in the construction side in our Sage Construction Project Center. Both of these two products are completely web-based to start, which means you can use them on any device that you use, and they will be integrating back with Sage Construction and Real Estate 300 or 100 Contractor as well. So let's talk first about the pre-construction side with Sage Bid Management. So Sage Bid Management's idea is you could take all the information that your bidders would have, the contact information, qualifications, certifications, different ratings that you may have created for them, and have this information all flow in and allow you to create bid packages for these people and send them out and track it. These packages can have documentation, plans, specs, and all that can easily transmit over to the main project level as well. So you're not duplicating work as you move from your bid to your actual project. We can distribute both via fax or email, and that allows you to hit on any base, especially if you have some people who have not moved into the digital world but still want to receive your bids and want to be able to work with you. And all this allows us to monitor with reporting capabilities as well as some great screens and manage all of your records for 10+ years, just as long as you want to keep them in the system. So some of the major benefits you'll get with Sage Bid Management is allow you to achieve a higher response rate from your bidders by more efficiently managing all aspects of the bid process. You can spend less time managing bid details and more time choosing the best bid from those that have sent to you. And you can save money and ensure profitable projects by minimizing oversights throughout the bid management process. We can reduce risk throughout the bid process as well by monitoring all activities, including vendor certifications and qualifications, and leaving more time for vendor and sub-selections and negotiating on the best terms. And finally, better documentation throughout the bidding process. And when integrated with the Sage Construction Project Center, the documents live on for future use in a full project history of pre-bid to post-bid. The Sage Construction Project Center is going to be that next step that moves us from the bid world into a collaborative system that allows all the different people who would normally work on a project access in a digital format so that everybody is working off the same plans, the same documents, and everything can be live for reporting purposes and ensure that when you're reporting and knowing exactly where things are, you'll be able to know exactly because everyone is working in the same system collaboratively. This really goes to show when you talk about all the different people that would normally be working on a project and how disparate they are and where they're all at. So in many cases in the past, when you worked with an on-premise software only, you would have the owner and maybe your GC and home office people would have access to the data because they would all be in the office and have access there. But you always had people out there in the field, your superintendents, project managers, foremans, who could not access the data without having someone send it to their laptop or a job trailer or having to physically get the papers and bring them out. And this even goes double for subcontractors, vendors, material suppliers who may have never had access to your data in any shape or form, even when it was required. So we wanted to make sure everyone can move to the cloud and have anyone with a web-enabled device have access to all the important documents, all the plans and specs, RFIs, submittals, all of your punch list, meeting minutes items, and all the reports that go along with it, and eliminate the need for people to have to call in, ask questions, get emails sent to them back and forth when they can now just all log in and access what they should be seeing. Security, of course, is very important in this, and we'll touch about that in a minute. But everyone can access exactly what they should be seeing and all the information in one place. So a couple of the documents that we'd be looking at on the Construction Project Center, and we'll see this more in the demo, but you can track all of your submittals, your RFIs, specifications, drawings, have meeting minutes as well, and all the documents can be automatically sent via email or through scheduled reports as well to let you know how many open RFIs or submittals you have, how your punch lists are doing, your daily logs. We can always have cost management as well. We will talk about the integration with Sage 300 and Sage 100 and how you're going to get those documents back and forth. This allows us to have timely and convenient mobile access to all variety of documents, as we just went over, and so that internal and external project stakeholders can find, share, track, and take appropriate action, whether they're in the office or on the job site, and become more organized and productive, allowing project leaders to keep the project on time and on budget and minimize the risk of litigation due to detailed document management control that we get through this system. We're going to be auditing everyone as they access, so that if you ever are in that litigation scenario or a he said, she said, we'll be able to have the information at hand to point the finger in the right direction. And improve collaboration and drive efficiencies through anytime, anywhere access to project-related details. So let's go ahead and take a look at the product here, and I'll launch my actually, let me use it, Firefox here, and log into my site. So with Sage Construction Project Center, let's go over, we'll start with the bid management piece. We'll move into how that then flows into our job, and then we'll kind of go into the job side on the construction and see how that all works. So starting on on a more generic, everything has access to this. We have documents in the system. Now, before I start clicking around, a couple little things to note about as we go through this. This software was really designed for all age groups. If you have people who prefer a tree view and like to scroll and browse like the old Microsoft style here, you have a tree, and you can click and drag or click and move around there how exactly you want. If you have people that prefer a more clean, modern look and you prefer to use back buttons and home buttons and things like that, you just shrink that on down, and now you have access to the site in this manner. We're also looking at this through a web browser, which means that what you're seeing here would be how you're going to look at it on a tablet or on another PC. So everyone will have the same look and feel throughout, but we are also building some apps out that I'll briefly talk about here as well. But we are building some apps to allow for offline capability as well as cleaner looks on smaller devices. So the reason I brought into our documents here is to talk not about the bid packages just yet, but about what the bid packages will be accessing, and that's the plans and specs on your job. In here, you can create out your own template for project folders, and how do you want to store all of your documents in the system. I have a couple different folders. I'm going to go into current plans and architectural to start here. And with that in here, you can see all the different document plans we have for architecture. This is not a view just for me. Anyone who has security access to our plans and specs can come in here and see exactly what is available. So if you wanted to click here and view a document PDF, you can download it. You can click and view it, or you can just straight download it to your computer. But we not only can see the documents here in the what is the most current, we track all the revisions as well. Clicking on my AO2, you can actually see that we have multiple document revisions, and I can view any of these. So we track all the revisions in the software in one single place, And if I needed to add a new revision, let's say when I want to add a new piece, I can come in here and build out my revision. I can add any changes with CSI codes or keep all the way they are, or I can just go ahead and add the file and make it revision 5. If we want to do multiple files at once, we have a tool to do that as well, where you can have multiple files come through and it'll automatically put the appropriate revision number as we go through. And the reason I started in this location is all these documents not only are available for the pre-bid on the Sage Bid Management piece, but they're also going to be available to us as we move into the project. So by putting all your documents in at the beginning, you now can move from the plans in the pre-bid stage right into the main construction site. But let's talk about that pre-bid stage now. I'm going to look at my bid packages. And at a quick glance, I've got 2 bid packages for this project. And I can see what their description is. And as you go through over to the right, you can see how many were viewed and sent, how many will bid, people will bid, will not bid, might bid on this area. And I can always pull up a summary as well, which will then let me see all of the different people in a quick summary view of whether or not they will bid or not. Let's go and jump into the package here and see how it is built out. So on the bid management piece, I can come in here and tell, of course, all the relevant information that a bid has. What CSI codes, of course, the address, when is the bid due by, when are we starting, is it a public bid or not? And then in a rich text formatted area, I can put in all the different information about what the bid is, what's gonna happen, what's the scope of work. And of course, all the important completion dates that we're expecting and information like that, that's all going to be sent over to people to have access. Down below, I have a list of all my CSI codes that I'll be bidding out to and all the people. We'll come back to that in just a quick minute. Scrolling down to the bottom, I could see any of the messages that we may have. So I had a scope change at one point that we tracked. I can see also any folders or attached documents. And I'll go ahead and talk about this now. We have a ribbon bar here. And the nice thing about this product is you don't have to keep training people over and over again. If somebody learns how to do bid management, they can easily pop into an RFI or submittal and understand the basic concepts of the software as we keep everything the same as we go around. So if I wanted to add a file or add multiple files or reference documents that are currently in my plans and specs, this will stay the same and be in the same place no matter where I'm at. And this also means that when I look at a document, those same places will exist in every one. So I can see my folders and my attached files right here, attached files being something that is only part of this bid package, but I could also click on my current plans and take me right to those current plans that I've done. And this allows for easy access back and forth to the different pieces. So let's actually jump into what we're bidding out. And let's say I'm looking at CSI code 7 to see what we got going on there. And within here, I can see that we got waterproofing, skylights, joint sealers, and I've got one person bidding out for each of those different places, one contact. Now, in the particular case, tripped on my tongue. In many cases, you're going to want to send out to 2, 3 more different people per division per CSI code. And so we want to then be able to say, okay, on the waterproofing, I've got a pretty good company on here. It's a minority-owned business. It's a disadvantaged owner business as well. They got a good safety rating and an okay financial rating. They've also received a bid from them already, but they've had, interestingly enough, they said they didn't answer. I should probably check on that. But I can also see down below, Vic Turner has got a couple pieces here that we've received as bid, and we've sent everything out. So we could track all that information, but I can also say, I need more people in this division. I can add bidders, which will then launch what we call internally a people picker, where I can come in and I can start searching for people to look for. So if I wanted to do very specific on the user side and say, hey, let me see some users, maybe search by company, search by email address, show me all the public bidders as well, and say, hey, I'm looking for everyone in Oregon that I want to search for. And I can say, hey, do my in Oregon here, let's do a quick search. So I'll search and it'll show me everyone in Oregon that I'd want to find. And then I can start searching for these, do some, say I want to find everyone with an email address as Sage in it. And I can then search and find all those Sage people to add. So lots of quick ways to find it there, but we also can get very specific when we're looking for who to bid out to. So we have an advanced search section where I can come in and say, I want to search by title, address, corporations, subcontractors, supplier, consultants. Are they union? Are they non-union? And down below, all the different major information, what type of information are they? And even down to the point where you can say, hey, I'm looking for a state or zip code, and I want everything within a 25-mile radius. So we can get very specific on how to find people to bring them in. And what's nice about this is it has your address built into it, or sorry, your address book. So everyone that's in your Sage database will actually sync up on the address book side, so there you could search your own and anyone who's public. And we have a little rule that says anyone will become public if they've been used on 2 different people's sites. So if you add somebody, let's say Sage Drywall. If you have Sage Drywall added on your company and you're the first person to ever add Sage Drywall in the system, they will only show up for you. But the moment company B adds a Sage Drywall, they are now become a public company because you know that more than one customer is using them. That means they now show up in the public database, and you can find them even if your company C, D, E, or F, and they'll now show up in there available. It's a nice little way to say, let's give access and quick finding of people and build out a database that everyone can have access to. Of course, I want to be able to send this information over to people, so let's go ahead and pull up my email and see exactly what this bid would look like as we sent this over. So let me log into my Gmail account here. And not the architect. Let's log out of him and log in as a subcontractor. And let's see what that bid looks like as we send him off. And let's see, I actually sent it over a little while ago. So let's see, here's my invitation to bid. And this email will then be sent over for the invitation to bid with all that rich text formatted information you have. They'll get a will bid, will not bid, a might bid, as well as a login and password. The login and password allows them to see all those files that go along with it. So they can then verify, they can check on the plans and specs and bid appropriately. So they could say, hey, I will bid on this, or hey, I might bid. And then might bid is a great thing to add here because there's many people who would never bid if there wasn't a might bid option. They say, I might bid, but I don't have the options, so I'll just close it out. Let's say they will bid. They then open up a site, and I need to log in here. And I can use that, that login here that we just received. Some subcontractor. And, this is old, so my password's gone. But I can log in and put in that information there. Once everything's been done and people put in all their information, I could then verify it in here. I could see, whether or not on each CSI code, whether they will bid, whether they won't bid, what notes they put in. They can upload their files and plans in here as well. So I can receive the bids right through the system here, verify everything, mark them off, and at the end of the day, award the bidders. And award bidders then moves them from the bid management piece right into our construction project center, which is where I'm going to move at this point. Now, I will leave off, there's a couple other things that bid management can do, but for time purposes, I'm going to switch over to the construction side. And if you have any further questions on that, we'll save them for the Q&A, and we'll also be able to get them for more information there. So pulling up here, moving to the actual construction project, going into the project members, those people that you awarded on the bid management piece can then move into Construction Project Center. Now, real quick before I move over fully, Sage Bid Management and Sage Construction Project Center are 2 separate modules. They both live in the same window, so they look the same, they work the same, but they do not require each other if you don't want them to. They absolutely integrate between them, but if you want to be if you only want to use the Construction Project Center or you only want to use the bid management, you can own them separately without having to have the other. If you do decide to use both, though, the bid management pushes those project members over into the job, so they now become subcontractors or consultants or any people that you would be using in the job. And it automatically will give them access to the system with a login, username, and password, and allow them to start collaborating with you on this. And the whole idea of your project member list is that you can have anybody who would access, regardless if they're in your company or not. And we will limit the security to where people like your architect cannot automatically answer subcontracts. And vice versa, subcontractors cannot automatically ask of the architect. Everything will have to flow through the GC yourself so that you can keep track and hold on to things as they're supposed to be. And the other people as well, your architects that are outside your company, engineers, your subcontractors, they don't use any of your licenses either. And this allows you to only have to worry about your people in terms of license structure, but it also means you could have 100, 500 different people working with you on a project and not feel limited that you have to pay for all those people. We can set up security beyond just the major pieces of subcontractor, architect, to really allow your people to have access to the appropriate folders and inside and out on a project-by-project basis as required. Now, before I get into the project management and all the main documents piece, let me talk a little bit about cost management. As a Sage 300 or Sage 100 contractor user, you're probably asking yourself about integration with Sage and how that's going to end up looking at the end of the day. Let me actually move over to my development site. We are putting out, and the first iteration of development for this first iteration of integration will be happening very shortly here. And by very shortly, meaning by the end of November, we will have a Sage 300 integration package available to you. Sage 100 Contractor is going to be out a little further. It's going to coincide with the sequel release of Sage 100 Contractor. But if you are a Sage 300 user with version 15 and this release, you will actually be able to immediately start having all of your job cost information sync back and forth between the cloud and the people with security to have access to it, and your Sage 300 job cost database. This means your estimate will be able to pull over with all the different pieces to it, like you're seeing on my screen here. Your contract will pull over, your schedule of values to show what your different divisions are and all the information, pending change orders, approved change orders, what your net is. A summary of all your data will become available to you as well. And so you can see exactly where your contract started, where it changed to, what's your gross margin, and all your billing statuses. It'll be bringing in that information from AR and job costs and everything to show you exactly where you stand. And even on the cost code overview, you can see all the different cost codes and all the categories below them for your particular job as you're expanding these out. And again, this is all coming out in the first phase of integration, which is going to be out by the end of next month. And I'm showing you on my live database here that we have this available to you to see. This also goes beyond the job costing side to touch on commitments as well. So all of your commitments that are in your system, and these can be purchase orders or subcontracts, though in many cases they are subcontracts. I can see all my different subcontractors or my vendors and what the commitment amounts are. This does sync with job costs. So all the information is both available in job costs if I were to run a report in Sage 300, and if I go into the cloud and have access here. And of course, in 100 Contract, it'll be showing up in your subcontractors' contracts as well once we get to that piece. If I wanted to look at any of these commitments or create a new one, I could pull in and I could say, here's the commitment number, vendor, and this vendor is synced from my database in Sage 100 or Sage 300, so I can have my vendor code linked to there. And I could say all of my different commitment cost codes. So I could see on this particular one, we have an electrical there. Let's actually create a brand new one real fast. And say in this commitment number, and this is job, let me see here, we're going with the 03015. By the way, if I need to sort anything, I just click on a header column and things sort. And you can find things quickly and easily that way. So let's go ahead and create our new commitment. We'll call it 03015 13. Our description is going to be for, let's say we're going to be adding a front slab. And I can say, well, let's go ahead and say with this one, let's sand and gravel. Yeah, sure, they're going to do a little bit of work here. So we'll say sand and gravel is going to do this. I add this on. It's linked to the vendor code that's in the system. And I can say add a commitment item. We can work with extras. So if you happen to have extras and you're working with those, we absolutely can connect with it and keep it going. But I also put in all your project-specific cost codes. So you can pick the appropriate cost code from the list. If you don't find what you're looking for, we could just show your standard cost codes and allow you to pick from a standard cost code and then create that as a project cost code for you. And it'll do it all automatically for you. So let's just go ahead and say structural formwork here. This is going to be other, and then we'll say it's for 25 or 25. Let's do one less. Insert that. Once this has been created, we can save this. We can forward it along to whoever needs to see it, add our documents to support it, sign contracts. At the end of the day, we release to accounting, and this will then save and send this back into job costs for us so that all this data is available to us no matter what system we're looking at to have access. And that's our commitment that we've then created. I will point out we are working as well on a second phase to be released probably around Q1 of 2016, which will include all the change management as well. Currently, we can do change management in the system today, and you can actually do owner change orders and PCOs and change requests. This will all then start syncing with Sage 300 and 100 Contractor as well once that second release comes in, and we'll have all of this in completely connected with each other. Everything, of course, requires vendors and things of that nature, which are already syncing with the current integration. So your vendor list and your address book will be synced in from your Sage database into the cloud. Jumping back to my main site here, let's go ahead and get into the actual project documents and really where the collaborative nature of this product takes place. We can have within here all the different pieces that you normally would do for a project in a location where everyone would have access to it. Again, we talked earlier about subcontractors getting in here. We talked about architects. And the best place to see this is if we go and look at our RFIs. RFIs are one of those things that everyone works on. But we also have some very strict security on here to where if you have subcontractors, they should never be able to work with the architects and vice versa directly. You, the contractor, are in the middle and taking care of everything. And so coming in as a contractor, I can see all of my different RFIs that are sitting out there available to me. I can search for it, I can sort by it, and say I ever have a scenario where, hey, I have a question about concrete, or somebody's auditing me about concrete, show me everything about concrete. And I can do a quick search in my description to find those documents. Or if I want to say, let's do that, I want to see everything that's open and work on those. I can do a quick search for open status and see it. Quick ways to access it, but also note as I do this here, if I expand this all the way out, that we can also see in here all the different RFIs, and note on this other side, original RFI. Because what might be my RFI 8 is my concrete RFI's 4. Let's explain that a little further. Let's actually log in as a subcontractor. So I'm going to log out here. I'm going to log into Sage Construction Project Center as a subcontractor. Now, as a subcontractor, I'm going to have far less access than I did before. I only have one project available to me. And as I go into my project management here, I'll only have access to the things that a project manager or a subcontractor should. Looks like somebody's invited me to a meeting at some point. I have my punch list options. I could see submittals. But daily logs are gone. Expediting logs are gone. Anything that would never be concerned to a subcontractor has been removed. And I may have had some slight security changes around. But let's go in here. I'm going to open up my concrete RFIs, and let's say I'm the concrete subcontractor at this point. Now, I did see several different folders there. That's because I use a very generic subcontractor that can do multiple works. Of course, security would permit me to probably only see the concrete RFI folder as I pull in here. But note, in here, I only got 13 RFIs. And in fact, they're 1 through 13. One of the biggest things that we've heard from subcontractors is, I will not use a collaborative system if I have to use somebody else's RFI numbers. Meaning I don't want my first RFI to be RFI 5, and then my second one to be 20, and my third one to be 50. I want to have my own list, and I want to track them myself. I don't want someone else closing them for me, and I don't want somebody else writing everything up. So what we've done is we've given your subcontractors the ability to create RFIs and track them themselves, but have everything still collaborate and connect. So we'll do that. Let's go ahead and create a new RFI. Click the button. And here I am, Scotty Subcontractor. I'm going to send it to Dusty Project Manager. And I got clever names for everyone. So I'm going to say this is a concrete RFI that we're working on here. Perhaps we're going to ask, say there's a tree root in the way for the main slab. So tree root in the way. That's a simple one. And I'm going to say this is for clarification and direction. I don't know what the cost impact is. I'm going to leave that off. By the way, we can create PCOs from this if you're on the if you need to do that on the contractor level or anything where you want to say, hey, this has a cost impact. Let's create a potential change order and track all that. I'm submitting that today. And I can reference a drawing, or I can do a BIM 360 glue, or even put a spec section or CSI code on here. However I want to track this for my own information. And my question is, need to pour a 12-inch slab, but 6 inches down is a root. And I'm just going to leave it as generic as that. I can CC other people if there's people that need to be knowing about this as well. I can also add in those files or reference documents as need be, whatever is appropriate. I'm going to go ahead and just leave this blank for now and hit transmit. And this will then send an email over to the project manager from myself. They'll receive that email in their inbox that says, hey, you have an RFI. And we'll open that up in a second here. For time reasons, I'll wait till we get to the architect on that particular piece. But note now, on mine, I have RFI 14 that's sitting out, and I can start tracking it, and I can see when it's been transmitted. I'm going to log out as the subcontractor for a minute, and we're going to log over here in as the project manager. So I'm going to switch over to, I think that's the appropriate email address. We'll find out here in a second. There we go. Perfect. So I'll then log in as the project manager for this site. And going into my documents, or not documents, my project management, I'll say, here's my RFIs. Now I can see my contractor RFIs, and this is not yet shown up in this folder, but I can track all mine. We're going to go in, and I would receive that email that would take me to the concrete RFI 14. As I come in here, you'll see that the information has been locked down, so this is their log. I, as a project manager, am not going to be modifying that piece. And I can see the question here, and I'd be like, yeah, I don't know the answer. Or if I do know the answer, I can throw the reply in and just be done with it. I don't have to make this one of my RFIs. It's not a question that I need to worry about. But this one is in this case. I'm going to forward it to my log. That then makes my concrete RFI 14 stays the same, just like you saw it a second ago. But it now creates a contractor RFI 26. It automatically says, hey, this is from me to my architect, because now I'm going to be asking a question to my architect with the tree root. So all the information now gets to be plugged in to my architect. Now I can clean this up if I want to. Hey, maybe I want a period at the end of this. What is your direction? I can also, dictation, direction. I can also maybe reference a document. So in this case, hey, I should probably let the architect know what we're referencing. And actually, let me make sure I selected that here. And reference the document in this particular case on my plans. My architectural plans will pull in, and we'll pick one of the plans that we're looking at. In this case, we're just going to say the finish here. And I'm just going to select that. This now ties back. So when we talked about earlier how your documents can be tracked around, this is now tied to my document. If my document gets updated, I have access to here as well. I can say, okay, I'm also going to CC anyone who needs to. For time reasons, I'm going to go ahead and put this, hit transmit, and send it over to my architect. Now, as it brings back to the log, I can see my RFI 26, tree root in the way, when it's submitted, the due date, if it's opened, it's transmitted, and it's tied back to my concrete RFI 14. Let's go ahead and open up my email here for my architect. my architect here, Andy Architect. He will receive in his email here stating with the RFI. So RFI 26, tree root in the way. I can come in here. I can download a PDF document of it if I want to just see it and reply via email. And this is a question that comes up frequently. If I, as a architect, don't want to use your system, or a subcontractor doesn't want to use your system, what do we do? Well, you know, what do you do today? If somebody just replies via email or calls you, I mean, they're not using a system, so you would just record it manually. And you could do the same thing if you need to in this particular case. The architect said this. Of course, if we can get everyone to work collaboratively, it means that when you run reports, like if I ran a report right now before I go any further on this, I would see that this is an open issue and that the ball in court is currently for the architect. I can know when it's due by, and all that is available to me. However, as soon as the architect responds to it, it moves it back to the GC, and a report would show that. What before was a system where you'd have to record what happened. Here you are entering things live and doing it live, so nothing is being lost as you go through that. I'm going to log in as the architect. And by the way, we do have people log into the system for a very good reason as well. We audit what they do. We want to track, did they look at a document? Did they download something? Did they make a reference? And we can run audit reports to see all this. So if you're ever in a scenario where your architect says, I never saw what you said, you can actually run a report and see if that's actually true or not. Maybe they download, you say, hey, you downloaded this document and looked at it. What do you mean you never saw it? We have it tracked to your IP address and what time. And we'll show that report in a minute. But in any case here, I'm looking at it as an architect now, logging into the system, and I can see this here. I can reference the document and view it, pull up that PDF if I need to. And all this information I can put in my reply. Destroy the root, whatever you want to say here. That's my answer. I'm going to post it back. If I wanted to forward this to my own architect folder, I could as well, and make this a architectural RFI and go ask a consultant. In this case, destroy the root. That's my answer. I'm being simple here. And then as a project manager, I get that response back. I go log in at into my RFI here, and I can see that answer from Andy Architect, destroy the root. Great. I like that answer. I'm just going to go ahead and choose it. I'm going to hit close. This then closes out my RFI. It's closed out. If I open up my RFI, it'll see it took that destroy the root and moves it to the answer. And on the subcontractor side, it'll email the subcontractor and let them know that's the answer, and then your subcontractor can close out their RFI. So everyone in the loop is taken care of. We know exactly what the answer is, and everyone's RFIs are opened or closed at that point. Talking about those logs we talked about earlier, all of the reports in the system are available to run as necessary. So activity log being the one we just talked about, if I needed to run and see exactly, and this is just running for everything for today, I could see today who opened up RFIs, who replied, who downloaded the RFI, and here's that IP address if my screen's not too small for you to see. And Andy Architect downloaded and looked at that. He replied to it as well. And if I wanted to run it by a particular project member for a certain date range, by a certain task, we know exactly what's going on with each people. So we always have the information if anything comes up. If we need to schedule out a report, and by the way, all our reports are schedulable if need be, or you can run them on the fly like right here. If I wanted to see my RFI report, and maybe I want to do it landscape to get a little bit more detail, and I want to see all my open RFIs or all my closed RFIs or whatever status I'm looking for, and what folder, and who's the responsible party. I'm just going to be very simple here. I'm going to say, show me all my contractor RFIs, and I want to see how many days overdue, how many with reviewer, maybe Q&A on there, and I'll go ahead and print this. And if I wanted to transmit it in a formal transmittal or fax it, I absolutely can as well. Let's go ahead and run this. And this crystal report will run. And I highlight the word crystal report on here because all of our reports being crystal means that if you happen to use crystal reports, you can modify these as necessary. And we'll give you access to all the reports that you can do that, and you can make these exactly how you want to see on a project basis. Here's the simple report telling me who's the responsible party, who submitted it, how many days are the reviewer, how many days overdue, what the status is, are there posted replies, what's the answer, as appropriate. And again, I can schedule this report to show up before my Tuesday meeting in the morning to all project members that need to see it. If I wanted to go and look at my submittal report and do the same thing, I can say on the submittal side, here's my submittal reports. And we'll get into submittals here in just a second. But we have submittals in either detail or whole packages. So if you prefer to see here's a package and what information that is, or if you want to see all the different item details of your package and you want to see who the ball in court and all that information is, we can schedule this out and show it. So here's a quick submittal report with all the different item numbers, what revisions, when they were submitted, when they're due, when they were received from the sub or from what the status is, and where the ball in court is. Architect, Sage Sales, that's me, that's my company. How many days overdue? All this information is quickly available in these reports. And kind of to piggyback off the report side, we absolutely can have some dashboards as well to give you some quick information as this comes in. So I'm going to log out and log in as the my main login here with all my access. And you can see on if I pull up my project, this dashboard here, you can get a quick look at what's going on with your project in terms of what your your change orders, change requests, commitment information, how many RFIs are open or due or overdue, and same thing with submittals. And if I wanted to build out a dashboard as well for internal, I can maybe say, hey, in here, show me all of my overdue items, and I can see my submittals, my open issues, punch lists. And then down below, I'm more specific on my submittals. Here's my open ones, and I can drill down to it and get that information. Lots of ways to quickly gather this stuff as we go through. Going into project management, let me briefly talk about a couple of pieces here, and then we'll move into a couple last slides and then some Q&A. So I want to talk briefly about submittals. Our system allows you to track your submittals however you want. I have mine currently broken down into 16 divisions, as well as adding an area where subcontractors can add their information, and I can clean it up before I move it into my main log. If I look at my Division 3 and all my packages throughout there, I could actually see, and I'll move one up that has some open items, you could track on an individual submittal a whole package, which could have multiple items, such as what I'm seeing here, where I have site drawings, architectural, some concrete samples that went through. And you can see all the different statuses, such as this top one, the site drawings was approved, and then my architectural had to revise and resubmit, and now it's sent for reapproval. And I can resubmit this item at this point. So we track all the revisions of your items as well, and all the transmittals that went into it. And if I resubmit this item here, we actually create automatically, and this is coming from me, and I can say I'm sending to my architect these resubmitted items, so it's my new concrete submittal, tying back to my package, creates a submittal transmittal that we have, and we can transmit that off and actually track all that information. Your architect can then log in and answer this, or whoever we set up to be the person responding to the submittals and approving and rejecting them. And we give a nice little tool to do that, as you can come in here and select those items that you're working on and return them. Of course, I'm not going to log out, log in just for your guys' sake here, but I'll go ahead and I'll check mark it, and I can return and say, hey, I'm approving these. And so we could hit approve, or I can put in my notes, and then I can transmit this back. And again, we're tracking all the information so that everything at the end of the day has what you need to know. And then we close out that RFI now, submittal, and I can come in here and I can see everything's now been approved. And if I wanted to run a report to know how long did it take, we can actually see how long did it take from start to finish on a particular submittal. We'll talk quickly about some of the other pieces here, and daily logs I want to highlight because this will be the first app we're building out. We actually have the app very close to being released now, and those apps will not cost anything extra as they come through. But on daily logs, I can come in as a super or as a foreman and say, hey, I'm going to take Monday. Well, I know today's Monday. This is last Monday. And I'm going to go ahead and copy this. We wanted to make it as simple as possible for somebody to enter so that they don't have to reinvent things as they go. So if I copy Mondays, it'll automatically move it to today. It'll look at the zip code of the project and pull the weather for me automatically. And then all I have to do is make the changes. What material and equipment were delivered, comments, visitors. Here's my attached files, and I can use my camera to take pictures and put more on there. And here's all my activity, slab works, field landscaping. And if I wanted to look at my, expand upon my landscaping and who maybe the second tier sub is that came on, and if I need to add that division on here, landscaping, I can track all that. And then saying, okay, we got one foreman here. He was here 8 hours. And we can update all this information and run reports on it. That's the whole point of this, is to make sure everything's as simple as possible for you. And that first app that's coming out for the daily logs just means that you can do this offline, as well as make it much more user-friendly for a smaller device like a tablet or a smartphone. Punch lists as well allow us to track in our different punches that we got going on here. And I'll just bring one up as an example. If I go to my residential, to my bedroom that I'm tracking, and all these folders are customizable. And maybe I'm fixing the crown molding on the site. I can have a punch by up to 4 different people, contractor owners, subs, and architects all go through this. And we'll be building out an app for the punches as well as the RFIs. So I just wanted to kind of touch on many of the different places that we can use this site as a collaborative nature so that whoever is needing it can have access to it, and none of the information is lost. Everything's live and available to us. So at this point, let's talk about what's available now and what's going to and where we next are going to move. So available now, Sage Bid Management, Sage Construction Project Center, and everything I showed you today is available now. That integration piece that we showed will be out by the end of November for the first phase, and we are going to be very close in about Q1 of 2016 for all the rest of the integration piece there. And this is just a start. We are really expanding upon this product, and this is a lot of focus on here to make sure that you will have a project management solution that is Sage, that is a module that will integrate throughout the entire system and make sure that you can always collaborate with all your different people. So if you have any questions, you can contact your Sage account manager at 800-858-7095, or of course you can email me, and actually at this point, questions being the operative word, if you have any questions, go ahead and *6 to unmute your line, and I'll be available for some question and answer. Or you can throw it into chat and Q&A if you prefer. And if there's no questions, that's fine too. I'm actually going to stop the recording at this point, and I thank everyone for attending there.